artificielle.
Mais si on regardait de l'autre côté du miroir, quel sera le positionnement d'un conseiller, même augmenté, face à un assuré qui lui aussi sera augmenté, car désormais équipé dans sa poche d'un outil capable de comparer instantanément les multiples offres disponibles. Ce changement d'optique ouvre une réflexion fascinante, non pas sur l'impact direct de l'IA sur les acteurs du secteur de l'assurance, mais sur ses conséquences indirectes, cette fois partant chez nos assurés. Et aujourd'hui, ce que je vous propose, c'est de passer de l'autre côté du miroir et d'explorer ensemble ces enjeux indirects, en quelque sorte, à travers les deux piliers de notre métier, la protection et l'investissement. Parce que l'intelligence artificielle, ce n'est pas seulement une technologie abstraite. Elle devient tangible aujourd'hui à travers une multitude d'objets connectés qui s'intègrent dans notre quotidien. Ces objets, montres intelligentes, capteurs domestiques, voitures autonomes, tous ils collectent et analysent des données en temps réel pour conseiller, pour prévenir et pour protéger. Si je prends par exemple l'exemple des bracelets connectés, en surveillant nos paramètres de santé, ils proposent de fait des parcours de prévention personnalisés. Et ça pourrait transformer, plutôt que l'assurance santé, en l'orientant davantage vers la prévention, l'utilisateur et puis le propriétaire du système d'intelligence artificielle lui-même. Et les défis ne se limitent pas aux objets connectés. L'IA modifie aussi notre environnement informationnel, et c'est peut-être là le plus important. La facilité avec laquelle elle permet de créer et de diffuser des informations erronées ou falsifiées engendre un climat de doute. Et d'ailleurs, le Risk Report du World Economic Forum de 2024 plaçait en tête des risques la désinformation et la manipulation d'informations. Dans ce contexte, les assureurs devront renforcer leur rôle de tiers de confiance, de lanceurs d'alerte face aux risques, tout en devenant des experts des messages de prévention, non seulement pour protéger les citoyens et les entreprises face aux risques traditionnels, mais aussi pour les accompagner dans un monde où la vérité est parfois mise à mal. Enfin, il est important de souligner un enjeu sociétal majeur, celui de la santé mentale. En 2020, lors du Covid, les assureurs français avaient déjà perçu ce malaise et avaient pris en charge 4 séances de psychologues, un dispositif dont ensuite, d'ailleurs, l'assurance maladie obligatoire s'est inspirée. Aujourd'hui, en 2024, selon le baromètre Malakoff-Humanis, en France, plus de 30% des arrêts maladie de longue durée sont liés à des troubles psychiques. C'est un chiffre qui est en très forte augmentation par rapport aux années précédentes. Le sentiment d'isolement, la perte du lien social sont grandissants et compte tenu également dans notre pays de la pénurie de psychiatres et de psychologues, le recours à des applications basées sur l'IA et dédiées à la santé mentale se multiplie. Si j'en crois l'enquête mondiale 2025 d'AXA sur la santé mentale, 28% des personnes interrogées ont déjà utilisé une IA via une app ou une plateforme pour les accompagner dans leur santé psychique. Certaines applications ont une utilité, et d'ailleurs, nous, France Assureurs, nous participons, aux côtés de France Biotech ou encore de Paris Santé Campus, à un programme qui s'appelle Impact Santé Mentale, qui vise à aider les entrepreneurs qui développent de nouvelles solutions digitales en santé mentale. Mais cela interroge quand même sur le rapport aux soins et le rapport aux autres. Les solutions technologiques en santé mentale posent aussi des questions éthiques autour de la vie privée et du consentement. Comment l'assurance peut-elle anticiper ces évolutions tout en restant fidèle à ses valeurs? Permettez-moi, à ce stade de ma prise de parole, une petite digression sur le monde du travail. Les secteurs plus traditionnels comme le nôtre, qui ont déjà commencé à embrasser l'intelligence artificielle, doivent impérativement investir dans la formation de leur capital humain. Parce que sans cela, comment est-ce que nos collaborateurs et collaboratrices vont pouvoir maintenir leur pertinence dans un écosystème en constante évolution technologique? Plus largement, nous le savons tous, certaines professions s'éteindront, tandis que d'autres émergeront. Mais au-delà de cet enjeu de compétences, c'est la relation fondamentale entre travail et capital qui est remise en question. Nous observons un phénomène préoccupant, le découplage progressif entre des gains spectaculaires de productivité et la stagnation des salaires. Cette concentration extrême de richesse entre les mains d'une élite restreinte s'amplifie avec l'hégémonie du modèle des plateformes technologiques et leur capacité inédite à générer des économies d'échelle. Réfléchissons ensemble. Combien d'industries peuvent véritablement répliquer un modèle gagnant à d'autres industries avec des coûts marginaux quasi inexistants? L'intelligence artificielle incarne parfaitement cette réalité économique. Et la brutalité et l'intensité de cette obsolescence professionnelle touchent simultanément de multiples secteurs. Elle est sans précédent dans notre histoire économique. Et les bénéfices, ils reviendraient essentiellement à une fraction hautement qualifiée de notre société. Et c'est précisément là que se cristallise le grand débat entre les visionnaires optimistes et les observateurs plus circonspects quant aux conséquences de cette nouvelle révolution technologique sur l'emploi. Rappelons-nous d'ailleurs les propos visionnaires d'Eric Brynjolfsson, éminent professeur dirigeant le Digital Economy Lab à Stanford, qui déjà en 2014 alertait sur le fait que l'impact technologique sur l'emploi constituait le plus grand défi sociétal de notre décennie. Et il nous avertissait déjà que nous entrions dans une ère caractérisée par une abondance de richesses, mais une raréfaction du besoin de main-d'œuvre, soulevant ainsi des questions cruciales sur le financement de notre modèle social, nos systèmes de retraite et aussi l'orientation stratégique de notre épargne collective. Et cette dernière remarque me conduit à l'autre grande dimension de notre action, à savoir celle de l'investissement. Grâce en particulier à l'épargne que nous confient nos assurés, les assureurs sont de grands investisseurs institutionnels avec plus de 2 600 milliards d'euros de fonds investis rien que pour les assureurs français, 8 000 milliards d'euros investis pour les assureurs européens. L'essor de l'intelligence artificielle s'accompagne d'une transformation profonde des modèles économiques et des besoins des infrastructures. Les assureurs, en tant qu'investisseurs institutionnels majeurs, ont donc un rôle fondamental à jouer dans le financement de cette nouvelle économie. En France, je rappelle que les 2/3 des 2 600 milliards d'euros de placement des assureurs financent les entreprises. Une part, vous l'avouerez, tout à fait prépondérante. 24% des 2 600 milliards d'euros sont des actions. Et les assureurs, dans les dernières années, ont considérablement diversifié les profils de placement en augmentant leur position sur le capital investissement, plus 130% quasiment en 5 ans pour atteindre 45 milliards d'euros, sur le non-coté, plus 44% pour atteindre 145 milliards d'euros, et à travers aussi la participation à des initiatives de place, par exemple pour financer la tech, comme l'initiative Tibi, d'un montant de 5,5 milliards d'euros. Pour autant, en tant qu'investisseur avisé, un fort capex dans un domaine de rupture n'est pas nécessairement un bon signal en tant qu'investissement et doit évidemment être analysé. Ainsi, actuellement, le business case de l'intelligence artificielle repose sur un surinvestissement structurel estimé à environ 100 milliards de dollars dans les 5 prochaines années et pour essentiellement des gros acteurs de la tech, investissement en R&D et en data center. Un surinvestissement qui est totalement assumé, hein, comme en témoignent les déclarations du CEO de Google, Sundar Pichai, ou encore Mark Zuckerberg, et ce, alors que ces derniers reconnaissent eux-mêmes que la profitabilité est encore un peu loin. Et d'autant plus, il faut le noter, qu'on est aujourd'hui dans un environnement géopolitique particulièrement instable et donc difficile à prévoir. De toute façon, ce qu'on peut se dire, c'est que l'IA, pour les investisseurs, ne deviendra profitable et donc valorisable comme thèse d'investissement qu'à deux conditions. Première condition, que les coûts décroissent. Ce qui ne paraît pas complètement aujourd'hui d'actualité en raison de la course aux modèles toujours plus performants et aux puissances de calcul toujours plus élevées. Une compétition qui engendre d'ailleurs, soit dit en passant, une consommation énergétique record et une concurrence féroce sur les intrants critiques comme les puces électroniques. Les coûts doivent décroître pour permettre de rendre intéressante l'automatisation des tâches par l'IA dans les entreprises. Deuxième condition, sur le segment des particuliers, l'IA ne deviendra profitable que si l'appétit des consommateurs pour ces services boostés par l'IA se matérialise. Certains outils comme ChatGPT séduisent déjà les plus jeunes générations. Il reste à voir si cette adoption sera durable, généralisée, et si surtout les gens seront prêts à payer pour avoir accès à ce type d'outils. De fait, les assureurs, dépositaires et garants de l'épargne des assurés, ne peuvent avoir qu'une stratégie prudente et équilibrée en matière d'investissement, et donc investissement dans la tech en particulier. Par ailleurs, il ne faut pas perdre de vue nos autres priorités d'investissement, notamment dans la transition écologique ou encore dans la défense. Ces secteurs nécessitent également des capitaux importants et pourraient entrer en concurrence avec les besoins qui sont liés à l'intelligence artificielle. Mesdames et messieurs, nous vivons une période passionnante et exigeante où les opportunités offertes par l'intelligence artificielle vont de pair avec des défis complexes à relever. En tant qu'assureur, notre mission est double. Protéger nos concitoyens face aux risques émergents, tout en investissant judicieusement pour bâtir un avenir durable. Dans cet environnement incertain, notre capacité à anticiper sera déterminante. Et je suis convaincue que les discussions que nous aurons aujourd'hui vont éclairer encore davantage ce sujet fascinant et nous aideront à mieux préparer le futur. Je vous remercie pour votre attention et je vous souhaite une excellente conférence.
Merci, Madame la Présidente, pour cette présentation et merci de gérer le temps. Nous allons accueillir maintenant pour son intervention Monsieur Lee, Chairman and CEO of General Insurance Association of Korea. Please, sir. Thank you very much for joining us in Casablanca.
Good morning, bonjour à tous. I am Byung-Rae Lee, Chairman and CEO of the General Insurance Association of Korea. It's a great honor to be here with you in Casablanca. Under the high patronage of His Majesty, King Mohammed VI, I would like to thank the Moroccan Insurance Federation for inviting me to this meaningful event. My sincere gratitude also goes to Mr. Mohamed Hassan Ben Salah, President of the FMA, and to my dear GFIA colleague Bashiru Badu, the Executive Vice President of the FMA, and to all the organizers, speakers, and partners who made this gathering possible. I am very pleased to join you today in a city full of energy, culture, and history. In 2019, 6 years ago, when I was leading the Korea Securities Depository, I visited Marrakesh as chair of the World Forum of Central Securities Depositories. I still remember the vibrant energy of Morocco. Back then, technologies like generative AI felt far away. Yet, just in 6 years, AI is now no longer a distant future. It's here, and we must face it head on. This makes today's topic how AI is reshaping the insurance value chain more relevant and important than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in an era of rapid innovation where AI is everywhere, reshaping our lives. It turns ideas into reality and is changing how our economies and societies work. Every industry is being transformed, and insurance is no exception. The global insurance industry now faces growing challenges. We see financial market risks, demographic shifts, climate change, and rising global tensions. The UN reports show falling birth rates and aging populations around the world. These challenges demand new approaches to traditional business models and risk assessment. And that is where AI comes in. It is already playing a key role across the insurance value chain. It helps us work more efficiently, manage risks better, and improve the customer experience. With thoughtful implementation, AI can help us meet the challenges ahead and move our industry forward. Today, I'd like to talk about how AI is reshaping the insurance value chain with examples from Korea. I will also touch on the challenges we face and how the Korean government is supporting this shift. Together, I hope we can explore a vision for the future of insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, the insurance industry works through many steps. These include product development, underwriting, sales, contract management, claims payment, customer service, and risk management. Together, these steps make up the insurance value chain. They team up to deliver real value to customers. In Korea, AI is making meaningful progress in areas like underwriting, tailored services, and risk management. I would like to share key examples from Korea on how AI is changing the insurance value chain. Let's begin with AI-based underwriting. Traditionally, underwriting took a lot of time and effort, but today, AI helps us speed up the process by using massive amounts of data and smart algorithms. A Korean insurance company now uses a machine learning system that analyzes customer disclosures and claims history in just 1 second. About 87% of their underwriting cases are now handled through this automatic process, cutting wait times and improving the overall experience. A study by McKinsey supports this trend. They expect that by 2030, most underwriting for individuals and small businesses will be fully automated and done in just a few seconds. This shift will reduce cost and time, helping insurance companies operate even more efficiently. AI is also making claims services faster, and more personalized. With AI and digital systems, the claims process is now much simpler and quicker than before. Many Korean insurance companies use AI-driven OCR and deep learning to convert claims document into data and decide on payment right away. One example is an AI-powered tool that estimates car repair cost from photos. This helps improve accuracy and speed up claims. It also builds trust with customers by making the process much easier for them. Another key change is the use of AI assistants and chatbots. These tools help customers get tailored service anytime, anywhere. They make insurance more friendly and easier to reach. A leading Korean insurance company saw a 20% year-on-year increase in long-term insurance sales last year, with over 70% of new policies issued through digital channels like AI chatbots. AI is also making a big difference in risk management and fraud detection. It can identify suspicious patterns in real time and help reduce losses. In 2023 alone, a Korean insurance company used AI to detect 973 cases of insurance fraud and saved nearly $4 million. Systems like this don't just protect insurance companies, they also keep premiums fair for honest policyholders. Overall, AI is helping insurance companies streamline the value chain, serve customers better, and reduce loss rates. It improves both the customer experience and the financial performance for insurance companies. As these tools evolve, we expect AI to keep driving change, not only for companies, but also for customers and the whole industry. However, AI also brings challenges. Some of the key issues include access to data, fairness and clarity in AI decisions, and the social role of insurance. First, for AI to work well, high-quality data is crucial. In the insurance industry, customer data, such as medical records, driving habits, and lifestyle patterns, can offer valuable insights. But access to this data remains limited due to privacy concerns. In Korea, we are fortunate to have an excellent national health system and a solid medical data infrastructure. The government is also working to make this data more accessible. In light of this, the industry should explore innovative ways to access and apply data responsibly. At the same time, we must find effective ways to protect personal information. Strong security tools can help prevent data breaches and build trust with customers. Fairness and transparency are also key challenges. AI is now making important decisions in insurance, like setting premiums, underwriting, and handling claims. This has raised concerns about potential bias and errors. If an algorithm treats certain groups unfairly, it could undermine customers' trust. Insurance companies must ensure that AI is transparent, understandable, and fair. It is also important to let customers know when AI is being used and explain how key decisions are made in simple terms. Customers should be able to ask questions or raise concerns about AI-driven decisions. Lastly, insurance must stay true to its role as a social safety net. That means being inclusive and reaching those who need it most. In aging societies like Korea, AI can help us design tailored services for older adults and vulnerable groups. For example, AI can be used to track health data and support early care. This can help prevent illness and promote healthy living. Easy-to-use tools are also key, especially for those less familiar with digital systems. Simple interfaces, voice support, and AI assistance can improve access. These tools help us serve the vulnerable more fairly. To navigate these challenges, robust support from government is essential. Korea's financial authorities are taking various steps to support innovation in insurance. First, we have seen regulatory reform and improvements in oversight. The Korean government has enacted the AI Basic Act. It supports research, builds tech infrastructure, and strengthens our overall AI readiness. For the financial sector, the guideline on the use of artificial intelligence in financial services helps manage risks and protect customers. The insurance companies can use these frameworks to apply AI in safe and responsible ways. In September 2023, Korea became the first country in the world to adopt the Digital Bill of Rights, aimed at protecting individual rights and freedoms in the digital age. As technology advances rapidly and digital platforms continue to grow, this charter offers clear guidance on emerging challenges such as privacy breaches and data security. With this framework, we can better balance the use of data with the protection of consumer rights. Financial regulatory sandbox is another key driver of innovation in Korea. It allows regulatory waivers for companies to test new services so they can bring innovative services to market fast. With over 60 countries now implementing similar systems, Korean insurance companies are actively leveraging the sandbox to roll out new ideas. These include on-off insurance plans with simplified disclosure requirements, as well as digital platforms that help customers compare and select products like auto, pet, and travel insurance. Together, these efforts boost competition, spark innovation, and improve convenience. Finally, the public and private sectors are joining forces to shape AI in the finance. The Financial Services Commission, the Korean Financial Authority, has launched the AI Council for the financial sector to bring the industry together, build shared data systems, and develop AI platforms that can be used across the board. This collaboration will help Korean insurance companies offer better services, manage risks more effectively, and stay competitive in the years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have seen, AI, backed by private innovation and public support, is changing insurance at its core. So, what comes next? And how can we prepare for the future of our industry? I would like to offer a few thoughts on where we should go from here. First, we need to redefine the role of insurance. In the past, insurance focused on paying claims after something went wrong. But in the future, insurance companies must take a more active role as partners in risk prevention. With AI and big data, we can predict risks and help customers stay safer. But we must remember, technology is just a tool. The real focus should always be on people. Trust and human-centered service must guide everything we do, and that is how our industry will grow in a way that is strong and sustainable. Second, we need to be ready for new risks and opportunities. Emerging threats like cyber risks and AI-related liability are on the rise. We must act fast, understand these risks, and design new insurance products to address them. Doing so will not only enhance customer protection, but also build a solid foundation for future growth. Lastly, advancing the global insurance industry calls for stronger international cooperation and active knowledge sharing. Global events like today show the power of coming together. By working on joint research and exchanging best practices, we can make insurance more competitive worldwide and better prepared for global risks. Together, we can build a stronger, smarter, and more trusted industry, one that plays its role as a true social safety net around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, today we stand at the threshold of a profound transformation. In the rising tide of change brought by AI, we can afford to hesitate or stand still. Whether our industry rises to new heights through innovation or remains anchored in old ways depends upon the choices we make now. At this turning point, we must remember what insurance is really about. It's not just a contract, it's a promise to protect lives, property, and society as a whole. As we adopt AI, let's make sure we keep that promise with services that are not only smart, but also caring and inclusive. By embracing AI, fostering innovation, and strengthening global cooperation, I believe we can build a more resilient, inclusive, and forward-looking insurance industry. There is a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The future of insurance is not a path we walk alone. It's a journey we must take together. Let us walk this path and shape the future together. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, my mic doesn't work. Say yes. Thank you so much, sir. I didn't know that if we want to go fast, we go alone. If we go far, we go together. Is that an Asian or African quote? But anyway, we really appreciate it, and thank you for finishing that. And you are right. We need to keep the promise of what we bring to people, to companies, and to society, not only a matter of contract. Ladies and gentlemen, the last keynote speaker for this first part about Artificial intelligence and new technologies, what challenges and prospects for insurance sector is Mrs. Thea Uthoft, Managing Director of Insurance Europe. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, Ministers, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today with you at the 11th edition of the Rendez-vous de Casablanca de l'Assurance. I have just promised Bashir that when I come back next year, and I'm going to promise it officially, I will do this speech in French. So let's see, cross your fingers. This is hopefully the last time I'm speaking English from this stage. First, let me thank the Fédération Marocaine de l'Assurance for inviting me to speak at this fantastic event and for bringing together such an experience and knowledge from across the insurance world, literally across the world. This year's theme of artificial intelligence is in insurance couldn't be more timely or more relevant. And the event is an excellent opportunity for us to consider how new technologies can help us build an even more innovative and thriving insurance industry for generations to come. The world is changing fast. Other speakers have mentioned that, but I think it's a point we cannot repeat too often. Digitalization, new technologies, and artificial intelligence are transforming every aspect of our lives. They're changing our industry, redefining business models, and shaping the future of insurance. The industry has a long history of adapting to change and spearheading innovation. For centuries, we've offered creative solutions, from new actuarial methods to deployment of computer models. Today, digitalization and AI are taking innovation even further. By embracing these new technologies, the industry is offering faster, more accessible, and more tailored solutions that better match the individual need of consumers. Digital tools are helping companies offer more personalized policies, and they're enabling our industry to provide continuous customer service and detecting fraud in real time. At the same time, many insurers are using AI to automate claims processing, as we just saw, and making it faster and more accurate for consumers. These developments are not without challenges. As insurers, we must navigate a complex landscape. We need to balance innovation with regulatory compliance, protection against emerging risks, and ensuring financial resilience in an era of uncertainty. Insurance has always been helping people and businesses to navigate these uncertainties. But today, insurers face increasing pressures. Climate change, cybersecurity threats, and evolving consumer expectations are reshaping our society and our industry. AI and digitalization offer solutions, but they also present new risks that must be managed carefully. At the same time, they offer the potential of increasing consumer trust through transparent processes, fair outcomes, and faster responses in times of need. To realize the potential of digitalization and to overcome the challenges, we as an industry must focus on three areas: consumer experience, risk prevention, and innovation. Firstly, technology is reshaping the consumer experience. AI-powered chatbots, virtual assistants, and automated claims processing are transforming the service for the consumer. AI is already assisting insurers in meaningful ways. It allows us to offer tailored policies based on real-time data, making coverage more relevant to each consumer needs. It can streamline claims processing, and it's enabling a 24/7 digital support, which makes insurance more intuitive, more accessible, and easier to navigate. These developments do bring with them questions about data privacy, transparency, and fairness. Insurers must find a balance, leveraging AI to improve services and deliver benefits to the consumers, while also ensure that they're secure and informed. Secondly, the nature of risk is evolving. Climate change is intensifying natural disasters. Cyber threats are escalating, and new vulnerabilities are emerging. Insurers can leverage insurers can leverage digital tools to stay ahead and improve their risk coverage models. Let me give you a couple of examples. AI-driven models can analyze weather patterns more accurately, helping us forecast extreme weather events. When it comes to cybersecurity, AI can assist us in detecting threats earlier and therefore prevent damage. And with the support of human oversight, machine learning algorithms can improve our ability to detect and prevent fraud, making the system more secure. Addressing these questions will be critical in ensuring that AI strengthens the industry's ability to manage risk instead of undermining it. Which brings me to the third area of importance, innovation. Digitalization is not just changing insurance, it's redefining it. AI and data are creating opportunities to deliver more precise risk assessments, streamline processes, and entirely new types of coverage. To navigate this, we need a regulatory framework that strikes the right balance. It should foster innovation while also ensuring that AI is used responsibly. It must give insurers access to the data they need to serve their customers and always respect data privacy. And just as importantly, it should minimize unnecessary administrative burdens while providing clear and consistent legal guidance. A regulatory framework that supports innovation will help insurers drive digital transformation while safeguarding financial resilience. But regulation alone is not enough. Collaboration is key. For the insurance industry, policymakers, and technology leaders to work together to create a fair and sustainable digital ecosystem. Looking ahead, it's crucial that the regulation remains relevant and fit to future needs. This means that it needs to be proportionate and it should be risk-based, allowing insurers to adapt to new threats by operating efficiently. But above all, it must be future-focused. This means embracing digital transformation while mitigating any unintended risks along the way. To conclude, the digital transition presents both immense opportunities, significant challenges for industry and our society as a whole. AI and digitalization have the power to make insurance more inclusive, efficient, and resilient, but only if we manage these risks efficiently. AI can make insurance easier and quicker to use when people need it the most. It can help consumers better understand and manage the risks in their daily lives and feel safer. By embracing technology, fostering innovation, and maintaining strong collaboration between insurers and policymakers, we can shape a regulatory environment and a future that benefits everyone. This means a future where consumers are better served, a future where businesses can grow with confidence, knowing that rules are clear and supportive, and a future where the insurance industry continues to play its vital role. Through open dialogue and sharing of ideas, we can build an innovative sector that remains secure and actively shapes the future of risk and resilience. And by leveraging these new technologies and being an engine of innovation, the industry can harness opportunities that benefit our society. All this being said, I'm looking very much forward to these discussions these 2 days and the valuable insights that I know I'll take away from this. So thank you for your attention, and I wish you a wonderful conference.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Otoft, for this keynote speech, very useful, and you're right. We have 2 days of conversations. We are all looking forward to have these insightful conversations. The second keynote speeches session is dedicated to regulations and challenges of AI integration in insurance sector. And we will have 2 keynote speeches, one delivered by the Commissioner Andrew Mais from Connecticut Insurance Department and immediate past president of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, the NAIC. And the second will be given by Petra Hirkema, who is chairperson of European Insurance and Occupational Pensions Authority in Europe. So, Commissioner Mais, the floor is yours.
so much. I'm going to have to wait till we're done. Thank you all so much. Before I do begin, though, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the FMA for inviting me to this extraordinary event held under the high patronage of His Majesty King Mohammed VI. It is truly an honor to be here. As mentioned today, I will be discussing the U.S. perspective on the regulatory challenges of artificial intelligence integration in the insurance sector. It's a tough topic to cover in 20 minutes, which is all they told me I have, but I will try to do my best. We've heard, and we will continue to hear throughout this conference, that the insurance industry is rapidly evolving in its use of advanced data analytics, artificial intelligence, and its increased reliance on third-party models. And these technologies, make no mistake, they offer tremendous benefits that were unimaginable just a few years ago. But they also present new regulatory challenges that our existing frameworks may not fully address. Anybody who's read Spider-Man comics knows that with great power comes great responsibility. These are very powerful tools. And we, as regulators, have a responsibility to ensure that consumers are protected as we allow the use of these tools to foster innovation. So what I'd like to do today is to give you an overview of what's happening in the United States to better understand the technology, the use, and how we as regulators want to regulate it in that way that protects consumers and encourages responsible innovation. And what I like to do before international audiences, the US has a different regulatory structure than most. So I'd like to start with a brief explanation of the structure of insurance regulation in the United States, because I think it will help explain how we in the US have approached artificial intelligence. In the United States, insurance regulation is state-based. Each individual state, such as Connecticut, where I am based, and I serve as insurance commissioner, or Idaho or Ohio, my colleagues who are both directors there, the chief insurance regulators there, and who you will hear from later, each of us has our own regulatory structure tailored to our individual, unique insurance market. Now, we're supported in this work by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. It's existed for more than 150 years. And the goal of the NAIC is owned by the 56 chief insurance regulators, 50 states, District of Columbia, and the 5 territories. And its goal is to create consistency, to create a national system of state-based regulation, to help US regulators harmonize best efforts, coordinate across state lines, and for the good of the industry and of consumers, maintain consistent regulatory frameworks. It also oversees our accreditation program, and that's a peer review process that ensures that every state insurance department meets baseline standard, particularly when it comes to financial solvency regulation of multi-state insurers. We need to be able to trust each other, and accreditation is the way we do it. And what that means is, while there are differences among states, which is the design of the federalist system, the backbone of insurance regulation, financial solvency, oversight, and consumer protection, that remains consistent across the country. The NAIC also coordinates our international engagement bilaterally and through organizations like the IAIS and the OECD. And now that I've given you the basic primer on US state insurance regulation, I'm going to move on to how we've approached AI in the regulatory space. Now, back in 2019, which is pretty much a lifetime ago in AI time, we at the NAIC established the Big Data and Artificial Intelligence Working Group. And that group eventually evolved into a broader Technology and Innovation Committee, which is charged with studying the development and use of AI in insurance and assessing its implications for consumer protection, for market conduct, and for our regulatory frameworks. One major result of this work was the adoption of AI regulatory principles by the full NAIC membership, and that was a little over 4 years ago at our 2020 summer national meetings. These principles, they didn't spring out of thin air. They were based on the OECD's AI principles, and they outlined a framework for how we as US insurance regulators believe AI should be used in our industry. The framework, and I'm just gonna briefly go over this, it's built, the acronym is FAIRS, F, fair and ethical. All actors should respect the rule of law throughout the AI lifecycle, including insurance laws and regulations such as those relating to trade practices, unfair discrimination, access to insurance, underwriting, and privacy, among others. And AI systems should not be designed to harm or deceive people and should be implemented in a manner that avoids harmful or unintended consequences. And since we know with innovation comes a possibility of mistakes, these systems must be designed to correct and remediate for any such consequences when they occur. AI actors should be accountable, that's the A. They have to make sure that AI systems operate in compliance with these principles consistent with the actors' roles and within the appropriate context and the evolving technologies. C is pretty basic, at least to me, it's compliant. If you're using AI, all actors have to have the knowledge and the resources in place to comply with all applicable state laws and regulations, since insurance is primarily regulated by the individual states, as I mentioned. So you have to comply with the laws in each jurisdiction. And that is a reflection of the fact that AI, to us, is a tool. It's a wonderful tool, and the potential is there. But it is a tool that has to be used, that has to be managed properly for consumer protection. And as was mentioned earlier, insurance is a business of trust, which is why the T is for transparent. For the purposes of improving the public's confidence in AI actors should commit to transparency and responsible disclosures regarding AI systems to relevant stakeholders. And AI actors must have the ability, and this is where we get to security, to protect the confidentiality of their proprietary algorithms, which gives us the last one in facts, and that's an S, safe, secure, and robust. AI systems should be robust, secure, and safe throughout the entire life cycle so that in conditions of normal or reasonably foreseeable use, or in adverse conditions, they can function, as we said, in compliance with applicable laws and regulations. And taken together, I mean, this is not rocket science. It may lead to rocket science, but what we're saying is that these principles make it clear that simply because a tool is new does not mean it's exempt from existing law that's meant to protect consumers. So we came up with that in 2020, and then in 2023, we followed up with another milestone, the NAIC Model Bulletin, the use of artificial intelligence systems by insurers. Now, this was based on the vision of the AI principles and reminded insurers that all existing consumer protections still applied and outlined what regulators expect from responsible users of AI, especially in terms of governance, which is a matter of great importance, risk management and internal controls, and third-party AI systems. As state insurance regulators, we believe in the importance from us of transparency. We believe in ensuring that the regulated entities have the ability to understand, to rely on what we say, and thus the ability to proceed and to create new products. And this principles-based bulletin, the use of artificial intelligence systems by insurers, was designed to provide insurers with that benchmark. you what to do. We weren't going to be prescriptive. You know what we're looking for. Now, it's pretty straightforward. Go out and follow the rules that we've set up. And now, in the more than 3 years between the original principles in 2020 and the bulletin, significant concerns arose in AI about both the accuracy of data, garbage in, garbage out. That's the way it is. You got to make sure the data that you're getting is good, that it's clean, that it's accurate, that it's complete, and the lack of transparency of models. And we took steps to address that in the bulletin. And specifically, one of the things that certainly we've been seeing as we try to address the coverage gaps, we've got much greater use of predictive models. These are really advanced predictive models, and we called for insurers. We didn't tell insurers they couldn't use them. We want them to use them. We want the risks to be priced properly. We want the products to be available. But we called for insurers to have processes and procedures for designing, developing, verifying, deploying, using, updating, and monitoring predictive models, including a description of the methods used to detect and address errors, performance issues, outliers, or unfair discrimination in insurance practices resulting from the use of a model. And any risk management and internal controls should address data practices and accountability procedures, including data currency, lineage, quality, integrity, bias analysis and minimization, and suitability. Also, the bulletin calls for validating, testing, and retesting as necessary to assess the generalization of AI systems outputs upon implementation, and that includes the suitability of the data that was used to develop, to train, to validate, and to audit the model. Importantly, the bulletin indicates that an insurer can expect to be asked about its development, deployment, and use of any AI system or any specific predictive model, AI system or application, and its outcomes, including adverse consumer outcomes from the use of those AI systems, as well as any other information or documentation deemed relevant by the department. As of mid-March this year, 23 states have already adopted the bulletin. We've got 4 more that have adopted it pretty much in closed form, and it's still early to assess the long-term impact. But we know, and I can tell you from my response in my state, initial impact from insurers has been constructive and positive. They know what we want, they know what we expect, and we share, and I will say this is not a us against them, and it cannot be when we look at AI. This is a holistic process. We listen to consumers, we listen to the regulated entities, and we work together because we share the same goal. This industry prospers when we are able to provide as much protection as possible to as many people as possible, as affordably and efficiently as possible. And even though we've issued that guidance, it's not over. We keep listening. We hear from regulators, such as many here. We hear from industry, from consumer advocates, academics, tech providers, and others. And as AI evolved, so will our approach. And this input continues to shape our approach. Information is important to us as insurance regulators, which is natural because in insurance, information is a priority, good information. And so to deepen our understanding, the NAIC launched several comprehensive surveys examining the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning across personal auto, homeowners, life, and health insurance. And these detailed surveys provided valuable input into what was being done, how it was being done, and one thing we were concerned with, the degree of human oversight involved. And the other side is how are consumers notified about the use of AI? Are consumers given the ability to correct their data? Do consumers know how companies govern that data internally? Now, if you take a look at the NAIC website, and I'll throw the ad out, naic.org, the info is out there and you can see the results. 92% of our health insurers reported using or planning to use AI and general machine learning. In particular, 88% of our auto insurers, 70% of our homeowners insurers, and 58% of our life insurers are here right now, are using or planning to use AI. And insurers most commonly use AI in claims, marketing, and fraud detection. All of that, that the insurance industry is not necessarily the first mover, but a fast follower, and that's what we're seeing here. But there was a striking takeaway across all lines, didn't matter which line of insurance we were looking at, and we found out that up to half or more of AI systems are sourced from third parties, not developed in-house. So what we've done is we've conducted follow-up interviews so that we are prepared to ask better, more focused questions. And the issue with third party led us as regulators to focus more on those third-party AI systems. Our survey results show that many insurers rely heavily on external vendors for both models and data. That's why we created a third-party data and models working group that has been working to develop a clear, balanced regulatory approach. And the core concern for us is that we need to ensure that these third-party tools comply with insurance laws, particularly in rating, claims, and settlements, and do not introduce bias, unfair discrimination, or other consumer harms. And we want to do this right. One of the things we're doing is looking at the basic taxonomy. We're currently surveying state regulators to understand where the biggest concerns lie and determining, and this may seem simple, how to define a third party in this context. It's deceptively simple, but it is a critically important question to us. We need, and we are working to clarify lines of responsibility between insurers and those third-party vendors, especially when it comes to AI. We want to create accountability and transparency mechanism because we believe those are essential to ensuring that all parties understand their roles and obligations. In some cases, this may require adapting existing frameworks, or we may have to move to new frameworks to more effectively oversee third-party AI systems and their impact on insurance outcomes. Several states are taking the lead with various approaches. Connecticut, my home state, requires separate filings for complex models and is developing a predictive modeling database to improve regulatory oversight. We're working our data scientists overtime on that one. Texas has issued a bulletin reaffirming that insurers remain responsible for the actions and data of their third-party providers. And Maine is treating certain third-party vendors as advisory organizations, much as we do rating agencies when appropriate, bringing them under existing regulatory structures. Colorado has adopted a trust but verify approach, mandating quantitative testing of predictive models to ensure that they perform as intended, they do not produce unfair outcomes, and we hope to build on the state leadership by developing a national framework that provides clarity, consistency, and flexibility. And throughout this work, our guiding principles remain clear. We aim to protect consumers, support responsible innovation, provide clarity for the industry, enable efficient oversight, and ensure that our regulatory systems can adapt to future technologies. And we understand as well that for any of this to succeed, we as regulators must understand what we're doing. We have to have the right tools and training, and that's why we're working at the NAIC to develop new foundational training aimed at helping examiners to ask the right AI questions during market conduct exams and other oversight activities. There's an awful lot more going on, but I'm running out of time. And what I want to do, I think I would be remiss if I did not stress the fact, being here in Morocco, we are continuing our engagement on these important issues with our international colleague, the EU-US Insurance Dialogue, for instance, which is a long-running partnership with us, our federal colleagues, our colleagues in Europe. And their technology and innovation, including big data, AI, and SoupTech as a regulatory tool is one of the key topics of discussion. We'll be discussing this in Albania at the IIS meeting. We're active in the IIS FinTech Forum, the OECD, and other international fora because we realize that as U.S. state insurance regulators, we provide a stable, credible, and reliable presence and voice on these issues and must continue to do so, which is why we're here. Your insights and collaboration are shaping an approach to innovation. And when I say your, I mean all of us. That approach to innovation that is not only, and we've heard this term a number of times today, it's important, it's forward-looking. It will be grounded in the principles of fairness, transparency, and accountability. But yes, it is forward-looking. And if you will, I'm going to take a point of personal privilege here just to extend my heartfelt thanks to the organizers, our colleagues at ACAPS who have hosted us so graciously, and to all of you who have gathered here for this important event. The depth of expertise and the spirit of collaboration in this room are truly inspiring, and it reminds me that while our regulatory systems or our role in the industries may differ, our goals are still shared: to foster innovation, to protect consumers, and to strengthen the resilience of our global insurance markets. May we always be able to work together to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioner Mais, for this keynote speech, sharing your thoughts about this important topic. And now we're going to host Petra Hilkeman, who is Chairperson of European Insurance and Occupational Pensions Authority. Welcome.
Yes. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est un plaisir d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui à Rendez-vous de Casablanca de l'assurance. C'est une bonne occasion pour nous tous d'en prendre davantage sur le point de vue d'autres, de partager des idées sur la direction que prend notre industrie de point de vue technologique. Je tiens à remercier la Fédération marocaine de l'assurance et tout particulièrement M. Ben Salah et Bachir, merci beaucoup pour l'invitation. De plus, j'ai plaisir à voir mes collègues superviseurs, Othman El Alami et Siam. Bien que j'aimerais beaucoup en discuter avec vous en français, je n'en suis pas encore pas la compétition. Et c'est pour ça je fais donc maintenant passer à l'anglais et je voudrais remercier la traducteur de m'avoir traduit. And with that, I will switch to English. Not sure if I promise to do everything in French next year, but I can say I would like to. It's the most beautiful language in the world. But in English then, on AI, the digital revolution, it is underway. We did an assessment last year in EU. We asked insurers, are you using AI? And 80% of non-life is either using it or planning to use it in the next 2 years. And for non-life, it's a little bit lower. So it's the other way around. So non-life is using it 80%. And for life, we see 30%, but moving up to 50% in the next 2 years. So AI is used in EU. Also, AI is used not only anymore in the back office for efficiency, but it's moving to the front office, serving consumers. And discussing that and hearing also from you here in Morocco and in Africa what is happening is good. Morocco is placing a growing emphasis on innovation, and you're taking a lead in driving the sector and the regional progress in this field. And I think seeing who is here again this year shows that, and congratulations on that. I received very good feedback as well from my colleagues who attended the Bima Lab Africa InsurTech Summit in Rabat in November last year. I think technology is really here and there's so much opportunity. You're very right in doing so. Insurers in Africa face many of the same challenges, conditions as insurers across the world. High interest rates, volatility, surge in natural disasters, rising fraud, and insurance penetration still can be low. But with new technologies and AI continuing to advance, they can actually transfer the insurance landscape. They can give you the opportunity to leapfrog. So here, I would really encourage you to keep this conversation, and we can learn from that as well. Now, when it comes to Europe, we also want to harness the potential of AI in Europe. We're determined to pioneer a secure, sustainable, equitable version of new technologies and AI for businesses and citizens alike. Our conviction is that the objective can only be achieved when innovation and regulation are in balance. And my colleague this morning, Othman Al-Alami, also said that. He said that balance is going to be essential. In my speech today, I want to share on how we try to do that, how EIOPA views that balance could be. Because we see the benefits of AI as an area, but we also see it as an area where careful supervision will be needed. Now, let me start with the great potential of AI. We increasingly use wearable devices, measure our health, drive cars with GPS tracking, we live in homes with smart features, we use social media to log every aspect of our lives. All this generates data that can potentially be leveraged by insurers, among others. AI is the latest addition to the mix of technology that can do it, and it has the potential to really fundamentally shake up how we do it. Artificial intelligence can lead to faster claims handling, and we see that in our consumer protection report that we published in January, where a majority of consumers indicates that they much appreciate how AI actually supports claims handling and makes it go faster. It can also help fraud detection, and if you go to InsurTech conference, you see more and more tools developing on helping to do claims handling with the proper fraud detection in place to also make sure that insurers do not pay out claims when they shouldn't. We see a development of more accurate risk assessment, and we see more personalized products. And the efficiency gains can be significant. And it's therefore no surprise that we are seeing an increasing adoption of this technology across the value chain. Now, I'm not going to further underline the possibilities that digitalization and artificial intelligence hold. I'm now going to something equally important, that innovation can come at a cost if you do it unrestricted. It's the cost of eroding trust. And when trust leaves, it's difficult to restore. It will take years, if not decades. As we have seen, coming from a market, and my original is the Dutch market, the Netherlands, where a mis-selling scheme resulted in a big outcry about insurance over 15 years ago. But it still has an impact on how people feel about insurance. So misuse of AI or wrong outcomes of AI that burn trust will for sure set us back in the use of new technologies. And that is why it has to go hand in hand. In our consumer trend report that I already referred to highlights not only that the benefits are there, but also that many consumers see also the drawbacks of the use of AI. And some of these are related to the limited consideration of consumer-specific circumstances or by excessive standardization of settlement procedures. Regarding pricing and underwriting, while national authorities in Europe have reported benefits, such as more precise segmentation and price optimization, sometimes even more inclusion, lower costs and therefore an increase of insurability, they're also concerned that AI can propose higher premiums or reduce access to insurance. And in fact, both can really happen. So data privacy, security, and ethical use is another concern, and it's mentioned by the previous speakers. the amount of data collected and shared with third parties is increasing. The more sensitive the data, the greater the risk that you need to manage. And we see that 24% of EU consumers indicated that they do not trust insurers to collect and use their personal data in an ethical way. Here we realize that the trust element really is real, and this is what we need to work on. So we need to make sure that AI solutions are a force of good. It means that rather than driving a wedge between people, they should bring inclusiveness and economic opportunity. Rather than perpetuating biases, they should treat people fairly, regardless of any orientation, race, religion, age, or socio-economic status. Rather than concentrating power and wealth in the hands of a few, AI should help bridge economic divides by fostering innovation that benefits small businesses and local communities. Rather than fueling misinformation and eroding trust, AI should enhance transparency and democratize access to reliable information and just processes. So the rules that the EU has set into place build on this path to achieve responsible, consumer-centric innovation. For if consumers do not trust AI-driven products and companies behind them, then all progress will be in vain. And this is exactly why European policymakers and regulators have been working to find the right balance between innovation and regulation. And here I want to say a bit about those pieces of legislation, starting from the foundation on which EIOPA builds its digital strategy. Innovation needs to be consumer-centric, that's one leg. The other leg is it needs to be rooted firmly and then flexible to grow. Now, starting with the AI Act. What does the AI Act now bring exactly into Europe? Now, the AI Act is the world's first horizontal legislation that governs the development, introduction, and use of AI systems in a standalone legal act. And we call this a horizontal act because it concerns all AI cases, regardless whether they are used in the financial sector or any other sector. And this is important to keep in mind. The AI Act refers to use of any AI in the European Union throughout the entire economy. And actually also throughout public administration. So also the AI that EIOPA is using will fall under the AI Act. And we don't make any differences there. Now, what it does then, it says we have four categories of AI. One is AIs that bring unacceptable risk, and those are prohibited. Those AI systems are prohibited. And then we have high risk, we have limited risk, and minimal or no risks. Let's start with the top category. These are unacceptable risks implemented in these AI systems, and therefore these AI systems will be prohibited in the EU. They include social scoring, exploitative or manipulative systems. They're out. Then the high-risk systems. What does the high-risk systems mean, and particularly means for insurance? Well, the AI Act establishes that for this category, robust risk management methods need to be in place. High data quality standards need to be in place. Data governance and record-keeping practices need to be in place. I hope really that this sounds familiar to you, that you say, I also had to do this already for my financial regulator. And this is exactly the case. A lot of what is in the AI Act is relevant for the entire industry using AI systems, but it is something that already insurers had to do under Solvency II. So an insurer that tells me that because of the AI Act, everything now has to change, does have me a little bit worried, because what was happening before under Solvency II. Now, what of insurance in Europe is under the AI Act? It's just a limited scope. It's the health and life insurers. They are considered to have AI systems that are high risk, and therefore they fall under the scope of the AI Act. All the other use of AI by insurers falls in the medium or very low category. So that means all the other lines of businesses, as well as any chatbot that may be used. Now, what is relevant here is how we're going to supervise that. This is also a challenge for our supervisors, because on the one hand, they have the Solvency II that applies to all the industry, and it goes, what I just said, good record keeping, good data quality, good use of data, no discrimination, fair use, etc. And then we have the AI Act that in particular for life and health asks the same. Now, in recent clarification from the European Commission, where we really have a firm role as IOPA in a discussion with the AI board, and where we discuss the scope of the definition of AI, we are now at a point that we can suggest that mathematical optimization methods and traditional statistical models that insurers have been using already for a long time may be excluded from the scope of the AI Act. And as IOPA, we think that makes sense, because these, in our opinion, are not the AI systems that we actually are looking for to further have under an AI Act. I think it is business as usual for insurers, and we are supervising them under Solvency II. Now, what is important is that AI users, in any case, need to ensure AI literacy among their staff and inform consumers that they are interacting with AI systems. That is also in the AI Act. But indeed, even before the AI Act was adopted, for the use of AI in insurance did not take place in an unregulated place. And that is important to keep in mind. For insurers, this means that all the relevant provisions under Solvency II, as well as IDD, that's conduct supervision, remain fully in force, including the requirements to act in the best interest of consumers and to put in place an effective system of governance that provides sound and prudent management of the business. What also stays in place, of course, I would say, is the principle of proportionality, which is core to the European insurance framework, and of course also applies to the use of AI and the supervision of the use of AI in insurance companies. Now, how we do that as supervisors, we just published an opinion on the use of AI as IOPA, and here we try to be transparent on how we will approach this. With its differentiated and targeted approach, the AI Act does set a foundation for a responsible uptake of AI in Europe. It prescribes robust standards and application that carry high risks while easing the adoption of novel technologies for tasks that are the least likely to harm consumers. So again, it's firmly rooted, but it allows for flexibility to develop. Now, there's more than just the AI Act, and Europe is more than the AI Act. The AI Act is of course combined with other regulations. So there's the GDPR, the protection of data and personal data, which is very important. And also it's combined with the resilience that is brought by the Digital Operational Resilience Act that we also implemented. And while we are on this, the Commission just announced another 20 billion euros to finance the establishment of AI factories that can bring super computing capacity and reliable data and bring that further in an effort to enhance the use of AI across the EU. Now, as innovation moves forward and data plays a crucial role in the digital economy, we also need to talk about open finance. And open finance comes in the EU via VIDA. That's the Act on the Financial Data Act. Open finance is a crucial part of the strategy of the EU because it enables data sharing, first of all, but it also protects consumers who are sharing those data. It promotes data-driven innovation, and it promotes competition. While the increased availability of consumer data facilitated by open finance is expected indeed to lead to more and more tailored risk assessments for policyholders, better products, better services, we also need to keep in mind that it does not come without risk. And to support the development of open finance while ensuring a safe and trustworthy framework, there is now the VIDA Act regulation that is negotiated, but these negotiations, I think, need to be taken very seriously. For we need to recognize that with open finance also comes a cost to open up data. There comes a responsibility to know where those data end up and how they will be used. It comes with time that is necessary to implement it appropriately. And in the end, it should really lead to open, fair, and safe data-driven innovation that supports consumers. So that discussion is on the wagon. Let's see how it goes. And there's two more pieces of legislation, the Data Act and the Data Governance Act, that are already in place. Again, I think not that much of an impact on the insurers, in the sense that insurance already were regulated under Solvency II, where a lot of the considerations that you need to have in place and you want to do a proper job using people's data were already in force before we got these acts. Now, how does that then relate to what we're doing at the international level? I'm very happy that Andy already spoke to that. We must acknowledge, of course, that digitalization is a global phenomenon, and that our efforts to harness the potential of technology, but also mitigate the risk, is an effort we can not only do jointly, but I think we can do it quicker jointly. We can learn from it jointly. And again, I appreciate very much that that is the topic of today's conference. This is where we can, as an industry and insurers, and supervisors, because this is definitely something we need to do jointly, where we can really leverage on each other's knowledge and bring this further. And that is why I'm very happy that in the context of the IAIS in the FinTech Forum, and I'm very proud to chair that we have a good dialogue on what we need. And again, I don't think you will hear us say that we think we need a lot of additional regulation. We think the principles that we have and the ICPs of IAS are there principle-based to serve the purpose of good supervision. But the question is, of course, then how do we do that with new technology? And this is the discussion we're having. It's a good discussion, and I fully agree with Andy that one of the topics we need to look at is third-party AI systems. How do we supervise them? Is that outsourcing? Is that an internal model? And then it's really, really helpful that you have other colleagues who are looking at the same question that can work with us. But I'm also sharing this with you. You must be looking at it as well. And I think any good ideas are welcome. Also on AI itself, the IAS is currently finalizing an application paper on both on AI as well as on digital operational resilience. And so you see that both on the resilience side as the use of AI, we're trying to come out with some additional ideas, application guidance that can help supervisors around the world in their thinking on how they want to supervise new technology, while at the same time not hinder it to thrive. We're convinced that this cooperation can truly unlock the full potential of digitalization and create a safer and more innovative and more resilient industry with good supervision as a result. So to conclude, as we discussed, the adoption of digital tools and technology has the potential significantly to transform the way we know the insurance industry today, enabling insurers to make better informed decisions, respond more quickly to emerging risks, provide better protection to consumers, provide more protection to consumers, include more consumers. From data analytics and AI to automated reporting and compliance monitoring, the opportunities for digitalization to drive innovation and improvement in the insurance industry are significant, and not only in the industry, also in the supervisors. We all need innovation in Europe, in Africa, in the United States, and in China. Our objective, and Asia, sorry. Our objective in Europe is for innovation to be responsible and respectful with the core principles and values that we have all collectively built, with enough space for businesses to flourish and sufficiently safeguards for consumers and financial stability to be protected. And I think you can already hear that what I said, but also the other supervisors were saying that. So I think that we are pretty harmonized on the goal. It's my sincere hope that in order to achieve that goal, we continue today with a constructive dialogue. Again, I'm impressed, like last year, with how many people are here, how much is happening. I'm learning a lot, and I thank you very much for having me today, and I look forward to further discussions. Thank you very much. Merci.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas and practices and thoughts. That shows that this event provides real thought leadership to all the industry and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going now to have, we are in the insurance industry, and people in your area masters how to manage risk. And now we have the highest risk is the panel between us and lunch. Yes, yeah, sure. I'm sure that will be the highest risk because everybody is waiting for lunch. But we have three panelists that will join me. I'd want to thank them very much for being here and coming to share their thoughts. Allow me to host them on the stage. Mrs. Magdalena Sarasola, who is from Global Insurtech Innovation Leader, Insurance Consulting and Technology within Willis Towers Watson. Then the Director of the Idaho Department of Insurance, Dean Cameron. Thank you for coming from overseas. And from not so far, the Partner Insurance Consulting and Strategy, PwC France, Paul-Antoine Cristofari. Okay, so you agree with me that this is the most difficult session of the day. But anyway, we are here. I'm sure we're going to succeed and make it a good session. I will start with you, Mr. Cameron. First, just for all of you, when I will start with my first question, just want you to introduce your organization very briefly that people can understand the angles that you bring to the conversation and to the topic. I would want to ask you, what about the Idaho Department of Insurance, and has this department noted the effects of AI on the insurer value chain?
Certainly. I want to make sure I can be heard. My name is Dean Cameron. The Idaho Department of Insurance is the regulatory body that regulates the insurance industry in Idaho. Idaho is a state located in the Northwest, next to Washington and Oregon. We grow potatoes, a lot of potatoes. So I'll keep food references because everybody's hungry.
So you
right?
feed all the McDonald's in US?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the only one up here that has a body shaped like a potato. So that's how you'll remember. First of all, much of what I had planned on saying has already been said this morning, so I'm not going to repeat it. There are tremendous amounts of artificial intelligence in the value chain. We're seeing it in Idaho, particularly. We're a largely forested area with lots of forest fires. And so we're seeing insurance companies use modeling technology where they're predicting the location of forest fires and where those forest fires will traverse through the countryside and the homes that might be affected by it. So that's probably the most prevalent evidence. Obviously, we're seeing it in the auto insurance market where homeowners or where auto insurers are tracking driving abilities or lack of ability and determining rates based on how that's occurring. We're not seeing it much like the data that Petra shared or that Andy shared. We're not seeing it as much in the life insurance market, or seeing it a little bit in the property and in the auto insurance market. And we'll talk about the value or opportunities that are there for other places down the road. So,
what benefits can AI bring to the insurer's value chain, and what detriments does AI pose?
Well, I think it's, as described, it's sort of a mixed result. I was thinking earlier, not too long ago, we would not have these phones that would tell us, this is my artificial intelligence right here, right? Because it provides all of the information and data that I need. It'll tell me where I am and where I need to go and what time I need to be there and how I get there. And it will tell me what I need to buy and how I can buy it, and whether it's a good product or a bad product. So the advent of technology being able to assist consumers in purchasing products, assist insurance companies in making those products less expensive or more adaptive to the needs of consumers, I think is a great future. As already been illustrated, there are lots of discussion points by which we have to consider how that's regulated, what information is gathered, how it's shared, how it's protected, how it's utilized. There's a lot of ethical questions, as well as the major question that I think was posed in one of our earlier speakers this morning, is it changes fundamentally how insurance is handled. Insurance typically is about sharing risk, about managing that risk and spreading that risk. Artificial intelligence has the opportunity to narrow that focus, thereby making maybe prices lower for some, more expensive for others. And so that changes that dynamic a little bit. And I think we're still trying to figure out and work through that.
Thank you. I'll come back later to you to see more how do we see the future. Let me ask you, Paul-Antoine, Christophe Harry, first, just allow me to say bienvenue à Casablanca, and very happy to have you here. Has the day D come for the insurance sector? When I mean day D, what the day, the D, which means disruption. You heard us, Bashir Bedou and I being disrupted, trying to disrupt, trying to increase our level of disruption. Somebody disrupting the world somewhere, the other side of the world. And does it happen already for the insurance sector?
Yeah, thank you for your invitation and Mr. Salah to welcome us. And yes, I will start with taking his word. The D-Day, the disruption day has come, I believe, for insurers. I've been in the sector for years, and I've not thought that would come during my career, I would say. So at PwC, we are not growing potatoes, we are making slides. So I have one slide to share with you to illustrate what's happening on the value chain of insurers.
Okay.
Luckily, it's probably the same that Mr. Lee has shown a few minutes ago that you will see on the screen. But potentially that's one of the last time we're going to see the way it is presented today. One of the big changes I see that will impact the value chain, and by the way, there are many, we call them steep impacts, so steep S for social, T, technology, E for economy, the other E for ecology, and P, political. Technology being one. The first topic, fundamentally, that we see in the insurance is the change of the core of insurance, which is risk. We have lived through a world whereby we were mutualizing idiosyncratic risk that were independent, that we could mutualize. And now we are facing systemic risk due to the combination of the hazard and the vulnerabilities. And that's a massive change to the sector. And that's why it's very important to speak about prevention, to keep possible the insurability. So that's one. The second is the fact that insurance, it's also a good news, is starting to be something that people want to consume because the behavior has changed. The technology allows the frequency of contact that was not there at the time for the insurance sector, allowing the insurers, to be a bit behind their lines of defense. But the technology allows high frequency. And finally, and it's good news, the regulators, the value for customer is also a driver for accelerated consumption of insurance. So the frequency plus the change of the core risk material of insurance are the two big changes that I believe might reshape the value chain as we see the one I've presented here and Mr. Lee presented a few minutes ago.
I mean, is it really an opportunity or more threat to the sector?
So it's been said up until this morning. And by the way, AI has been there for years. I mean, since Turing in 1954, I mean, AI is there. So RPA is AI, deep learning is AI, machine learning is AI. The thing is that up until now, it was an actuary topic. It was coding people who codes topic. So not really fancy. We're not talking about that. It has started to be visible from the people with GPT and the public, and the debate has started to shift from augmented humans, that's we discussed, to erased humans, that is potentially a threat and one of the discussions. So the benefits of AI, be it RPA, be it machine learning, has been used by actuaries to refine model for the segmentation. The generative models allowing to model a new scenario for actuaries, the ability to code and have the system speak together for coding people, and so forth and so on. So all of that is highly beneficiary to the industry when it is used as augmenting the capacity of the people, and that's where we come to that. It needs to be, we need to talk about the people at some point. The threat is the misusage by the human of AI, like the actuary who will not control, like it was said, the numbers, the simulations, the hallucinations of the model. So it's about misuse of the modeling, misuse of the code by taking data or generating data that are not controlled. So that's a second thing to address. So this is an opportunity, this is a massive opportunity, provided that the framework and the use is there. And last point still, I want to put here into the discussion the agentic AI, which is something that we've not talked about yet, which is the capacity of AI to, in autonomy, make decisions. It's not yet there, but this is something to have in the line.
Yeah. To put it in the scope and think about it,
absolutely,
it may come very quickly. Let's see if it's coming or it's already there with you, Magda. And first, how can you define from your side the agentic AI, which is nothing to do with the Gen AI? I mean, nothing to do with my chatbot and nothing to do with my embed batuta, as I call it, that I make a lot of research and try to get a lot of topics from it.
Okay, so a lot of people just use AI in a generic way, and there's different things, within the wide context of AI. As we saw, I mean, we've been doing predictive modeling for a very long time in the industry. As Petra said, we shouldn't consider that AI. It is really about, using statistical techniques to predict the future and predict outcomes. So that's not AI, although a lot of people are calling it AI these days. Why is it not AI? Because it has like a core set of statistical framework that does not allow for the actual algorithm to change, right? Those are usually linear, they always happen at the same time. So predictive modeling, not AI. Within AI, we have machine learning, and we have had it for a long time. I mean, in continental Europe, machine learning is part of the insurance industry in claims, in pricing, in underwriting, and has been there for a very long time. What happens, the difference is you take the core set out of the predictive modeling statistical techniques and you let those models learn from the data, right? And there is a learning element to it, but they're not making autonomous decisions. They're not behaving like an intelligent human. Now we're getting to the frontier of AI, which really is about the ability of these algorithms to make decisions like a human, which means sometimes they're autonomous, but sometimes they are about forecasting a wide type of outcomes, right? That are not deterministic, as in these are the 5 things that could happen, but they're stochastic. And that is a very complex way of training algorithms. And so that's what we really call AI. So I would say machine learning, it's AI, it's regulated under AI, but there is less of a liberty for an algorithm to go rogue. If we look at agents, if we look at generative AI and large language models, there is a different level of autonomy.
So how do you see AI reshaping the underwriting and pricing processes, particularly in terms of risk management and pricing accuracy?
So, when we go beyond machine learning, which we have been using in the context of risk assessment and pricing and underwriting, because it allows a very high level of predictability, we really get into a space where the question is, what can we do with these new AI techniques that we could not do 5 years ago? And that's where the change is coming. So in terms of predicting things and becoming more accurate about prices and having dynamic pricing, dynamic products, personalization, dynamic underwriting, reacting to the market very quickly, we can do that with machine learning, and a lot of companies have been doing it for a while. So now the question is, with these new techniques, what can we do? Well, we could interact directly with customers, having generative AI and large language models interacting with customers. Some players are experimenting with that. It has its risks, as we know. Sometimes, ChatGPT and other large language models, they hallucinate. They give wrong answers. They get tired and forget what they were talking about. So it's not as straightforward. So there's an interaction. We now have AI tools that can interact with humans in the way we communicate as humans. So that's one area. The other area that's really powerful today is using those tools to extract data, to liberate data, to structure data, and to generate new data, like synthetic data sets, for instance.
Does this make the decisions easier?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a governance element of that. I can talk about it later. But yes, it generates data where we didn't have data. It allows us to use data in a more effective way. Risks are changing. They're more interconnected. And therefore, our data is evolving very quickly and becoming obsolete very quickly. So if we're going to use historical data to predict the future and that data is obsolete, we need to do something about it. And the other thing that we're using these advanced AI systems today is to say, well, in the future, if we want agentic AI, if we want, an orchestration of humans, AI tools, machine learning, etc., to work, we need machine-readable components in our systems, machine-readable contracts, machine-readable policies. And that is something that takes a long time to generate. And now, with the new tools of AI, it's becoming a lot cheaper and faster to do that. And so that's another area where true AI is being used right now.
What could be the effect on humans who work in the insurance sector? Does it give them more time for other tasks? Does it help them? Is it, same question, but from another angle, is it a threat or an opportunity?
I love that question. So no, I don't think AI is going to replace humans anytime soon.
It may replace humans that do not want to move and learn.
Yes, but it really is about augmentation and about delivering insights at the point of decision-making, at the time of decision-making, to very different types of decision makers: underwriters, claims handlers, pricing actuaries, reserve actuaries. So to me, it is, subject matter expertise will always be necessary. That is not going to change. But we need to learn to interact with tools that are going to deliver us insights in a quicker way. So the way I usually use, the analogy I use is, instead of having 2 or 3 interns, now with AI, you might have 1,000 interns. Would you let those interns run your company, make the reserving decisions, put the pricing into the market? No, usually you don't use interns for that, right? But now you will have all of those agents and all of that input of those 1,000 virtual, interns, deliver something that in scale you cannot deliver on your own. And so we need to be able to integrate that into processes, into decision-making flows, into a governed system. And that's what, the industry is trying to do.
I have one more question for you, because we have a lot of people here in the room that are supervising or are at the head of insurance companies. And they generally struggle a bit with what we call the claims management, la gestion des sinistres. And my question is, does this kind of tools in the near future, or maybe tomorrow, in a couple of months, I don't know, are they able to work from A to Z, from the whole chain on this kind of topic, the claims management, about the quotation, about the cost, and manage risk itself, and maybe finish the file?
Yes.
Oh,
And I would say it's very experimental, but there is one insurer in Europe that is already processing 90% of their claims function within a risk sector.
90%.
90, yes.
Okay.
With an agentic AI system. So agentic AI is really having autonomous agents, but they're not on their own. You have to combine them with your tools. You have to combine them with your processes. You need to learn how to communicate with them, like with interns, right? And they have spent the last 6 months articulating and orchestrating a system that allows that 90% of claims to be handled by this agentic system. It's a combination of automation, old predictive modeling, humans that know what they are doing, and agents, but it's very impressive.
What level of autonomy can we predict in the future for humans in the decision making and make things smoother?
You mean how much we will decide and others will decide?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I like to think that the reason we're doing all of this is not to replace humans.
Yeah.
It is to make space so that we can actually close the protection gap and deal with other types of risks for which we don't have space and appetite and time right now. So I would hope that those experts will be able, once we have systems that are really able to do part of the work, the extra time will go into new risks and old risks that are changing in nature and structure.
Magda, it means we need to prepare the companies and all the people who work in the sector to a new era of training.
Yes.
To be ready for the next step. Okay, yes. What do you want to add to that? And how can we make AI, how can we reach AI at scale?
So first, I want to reassure the CEO here in the room, because when we ask the CEO if they are happy with if they are successful with AI, 80% would say that they fail. So to ponderate the 90% autonomous execution.
This is a case. This was only a case.
Yeah, I know.
Case.
I know, and
right?
I can imagine what it requires to achieve this kind of target with the current system. So precisely, to be successful when doing AI, you need to be clear on your strategy. So either you are running for augmenting people or suppressing job. And there is the hidden agenda, and sometimes you say you augment and you want to suppress. But it's like a nail. A nail needs a hammer, but if you have a screw, it's different. So different AI, different objective, different area of application, you should not mix that. So when executing an AI strategy, you need to have a strategy first, and you need to implement that and know what you are doing. Second, the use case. Because if 80% of the CEO have failed, then they were scared and they shoot for the use case. But the use case is a quick killer for the strategy. Because with the use case, if it's not part of a large strategy, it's just something on the fringe that you learn nothing from it. So the use case has killed the strategy. So just use case when it's part of a global strategy. And lastly, and maybe to start, you need to start with people. Because AI starts with human, it's the appropriation of human of the AI, of the tool, because it's a tool, it's not a mean. And that's where the effort should be done. So rather than thinking of suppressing jobs, it's rather augmenting people and starting with people and investing in people, in training, explaining what is AI, what are the different type of AI, what are they used for, and so forth and so on. And all that to finish on in the framework that has been perfectly explained for sustainability, because in effect, AI should be part of a global strategy and being conscious of the drawbacks and part of the strategy, securing data ethics. But I will not repeat what has been said by Yopa very clearly.
Thank you very much. Magda, we're going to talk a little bit about the governance to conclude, but let me before that ask Dean Cameron about how do you see these changes playing out over the next 10 days? Let's move into the future, and how do you see that?
Well, that's an interesting question, and honestly, when I was thinking about the question, I thought, well, I'm going to ask ChatGPT what they thought, and so I pulled it up. I thought it was kind of interesting. There are a number of options that I hadn't even considered would be available for the use of AI in our system. Let me just run through a couple of them. First of all, I think there's a more of an opportunity for stronger compliance as companies use artificial intelligence to make sure they're being compliant with the marketplace. Hadn't considered that one. There's a stronger opportunity for hyper-personalization of the product and kind of what you were leading to, embedded. More touchless claim system with virtual assistants. So I'm interesting to hear the 90%. That's kind of gets our attention a little bit. I'd be interested to know of studies if that company has a higher denial rate on claims than those that are being processed by humans. So that'd be interesting. There's a number of other issues that I think, and it was talked about earlier, the public trust element. I think Petra covered that very well. Right now it's sort of the new shiny toy. Once that's been violated, will the public trust that the information that's being used, that the rate that they're being garnered on their policy is appropriate based on their own situation? That's just a few.
Thank you, Dean Cameron. My last question for you is about AI's impact on the insurance value chain. How can you work, how can you support to make it a positive impact?
Well, I guess the first thing that I would advance is I think insurers need to collaborate and work with their regulators. I think regulators by nature, we don't want to prevent innovation. We want to help insurers be able to underwrite appropriately. We want them to be able to process claims fast and appropriately. We want the efficiencies and all of the good things. But there's the concerns that we have to figure out how to overcome, how to address, how to make sure that there's not an inherent bias. And I would agree, predictive modeling is not AI unless your bias is showing up in that predictive modeling. Or unless you're specifically, if an insurer in the United States was doing predictive modeling that had a different bias for an inner city person versus a member of a rural community, or a female versus male, etc. So that's where we have to be a little bit careful. And I think as regulators and as the industry, we have to work together to find out what is that code of ethics? What is that appropriate use?
Yes.
Where is the boundary line too far? Where's the sideboards on what you can do and how you can operate? And I think, at least from my perspective, most regulators want the industry to be compliant. They don't, so they're not trying to stop them from making money or writing business. They want consumers insured. We all know that our economies are better when people are insured, and so if AI helps us get more people insured or have access to insurance coverage at a lower price, we're there. We just have to make sure and cross the T's and dot the I's.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dean Cameron. Let me come back to you. We're talking about the governance a couple of minutes ago. And my question is, how do we see this topic of governance, and how would we work to make it a robust and trusty governance?
Okay, so there's like different areas of governance, right? The first one has to do with, can I explain what the model is doing? Is there bias? Is it compliant? So when we started our AI journey many years ago, we had a team saying, well, perhaps what we need are models that are perfectly explainable, not because we're translating them, which is something that you can do with AI, but because they they are actually linear, right, in nature and by design, and have the predictiveness of a black box in a machine learning. So we developed something called layered GBMs. It's an algorithm that we patented. And during 3 years, we tried to find algorithms that were good for regulators. They were linear, they were perfectly explainable. And therefore, you can use them in things like pricing and rate making, because in certain jurisdictions, you need to really be able to explain what the model is doing. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is now we have AI and machine learning in claims and in product design and in customer testing and in pricing and in underwriting. And all of those models need to be transversal to the organization. And there's hundreds of models, in some organizations, thousands of models. Those models stop being predictive, stop being compliant. The data is changing, the market is changing. So you need to be able to monitor all of that. And that real estate of models, you have to monitor in an automated fashion, because it's very difficult to have your actuaries understanding what's going on in each one of those models. So the ability to have that is very important. So, Radar Vision, which is a tool we use, enables you to actually look into all of the models and say, this one stopped being compliant, this one is not generating enough, the lift is gone, this one has reacted differently to data. So those are two different angles. The third one is, how do you articulate all of this with human beings so that you go beyond the use case? I disagree that the use case kills strategy. I think if the use case is part of learning, it actually helps strategy. And on agentic AI, we need to learn how to orchestrate all of this. What are the right tools? What are the right algorithms for what types of decisions? How small or how complex the prompting and communication needs to be. So interacting with AI and having humans understand how to leverage AI is the third part of that governance that we need to take care of.
Dean Cameron was highlighting one aspect is important, is the biases that AI brings.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is, how can we manage that? And is it something that may have negative impact of humans in companies, in corporate world, to bring the right service, to serve the best way their customers and society?
Okay, so biases are real, and we need to look into biases and how some of these models are propagating biases. But the thing is, biases also happen in humans, and biases already are part of our data. So the question is not, is AI generating biases? It is, how do we handle those biases? I'm going to give you an example, again, with the army of interns and reserving and machine-led reserving. So we have an algorithm that allows you to do machine-led reserving. Are we using that to put together the reserves of our insurance customers? Of course not, right? But we are using it to train junior people and to recognize human biases.
Okay.
So every algorithm you use, you need to be very mindful of the biases it has and the biases of data it can propagate. But it's also true that our machine-led reserving tool has been able to highlight biases among reserve actuaries. Biases of, oh, I'm going to keep these assumptions because a senior guy already put them in place, and so I'm not really looking at the data. So we have like conscious and unconscious biases that these algorithms are able to show us. And if we use them to train people, it actually can be also helpful against biases.
Thank you. Very short question before concluding, Paul-Antoine. We are in Casablanca. We have a global community, people coming from all over the world talk about AI, the present and the future. Is there any difference if we are in a developing country, an emerging country, industrialized country, to move forward?
I think it's probably an opportunity for being, let's say, emerging or accelerating country, because one of the big topics that AI is bringing is the necessity to review quite fundamentally the IT architecture, the mainframes, the data. And when you come from an old country, traditional, where you have insurers that have not invested over the years on IT, because precisely customer were far, frequency of contact, all of that, there is a catch-up for them. While I believe when being into a more, let's say, emerging country, the underlying stack might be younger, and the capacity to plug all those new technologies might facilitate. So I believe it's rather an opportunity for Africa at large and other countries to catch up and challenge the old continent.
Thank you very much, Magda. We're going to conclude. The last words to you. Frankly, do we need, before going to lunch, to be more optimistic, or not at all, or balance?
Okay, so I am very risk averse, and governance and technology keep me awake at night, but I'm also a big believer in utopias. And I think if we govern this, we do it with a strategy, and we really invest in understanding the implications of what we're doing and how we do it, there's a lot more upside than there is downside.
Thank you so much, three of you. Thank you. We got a very interesting panel. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Bon appétit for the lunch, and see you in 1 hour here.